chili and chocolate, chocolate and biscuits, chili and sour cream, chili and cheese, cheese and biscuits. On paper, a chili con carne cheesecake has every chance of working well, so I'm gonna give it a go. The first step for any chili is the spice blend. Heaped tablespoon of dried ancho chilies, 2 chipotle chilies, a teaspoon of dried habanero chilies, and quarter of a teaspoon of arbol. Toast these together in a dry pan with a teaspoon of cumin seeds until they're fragrant. And since there's going to be quite a lot of dairy going into this later, and I still want some of that heat to come through, I've left the seeds in this. That's done. Grind it into a fine powder, then add a teaspoon of smoked paprika and a quarter teaspoon of cayenne. Mix them again, and there you go. But this blend's got a really nice, rich, deep, smoky, sort of chocolatey flavour to it. It's still got a really good kick. Next up, get a pot of coffee brewing and get my veg prep. That's another useful little tip for you. If you get everything in place before you start cooking, the whole process will go a lot more smoothly. 500 grams of lean mince. When that's done, lower the heat, then in with a knob of butter and a drizzle of oil. That's just going to stop the butter burning, and then dump in those onions. Let them sweat it out for a few minutes until they're translucent, then grate in a clove of garlic and a tablespoon of tomato puree. That's going to help thicken the stew as well as deepen the flavours. Spice blend goes in, then back in with the beef. Right, for the wet stuff, I'm going to be using 400 grams of passata, 400 mils of beef stock, and that pot of coffee. I'll tell you what, there's the dregs of a bottle of red wine in the fridge too. Why don't we just finish that off as well? Of course I'm going to be adding kidney beans to this. And if anyone's jaw's already on the floor after I've made chili with beans and tomatoes, I think we've established I'm not a traditionalist. Mix in a tablespoon of caster sugar and let this simmer. Now this is a much shallower pan than I'd normally use for chili. Normally I'd use my multi-cooker, but the new tripod that I ordered didn't arrive in time, so if I wanted to film it, I had to adapt. That does mean that I had to do this in batches, but it's doing the job well enough. After about 2 hours, we got something I think most of us would recognize as chili. Adjust the seasoning, be generous with the pepper, then mix in some jalapenos. Any other occasion, this is where I'd stir in a handful of chopped bitter chocolate, but I've got other plans for that. Give this a night in the fridge to let the flavours develop, and it'll be absolutely delicious served with rice or maybe poured over a plate of nachos. 200 grams of digestive biscuits go into a food processor, and that's a fine crumb. Go in with 180 grams of Doritos and blitz it again. Now, while trying to hold the camera with my left hand, I'm going to use my right hand to try and add a tablespoon of dried chives and 30 grams of grated parmesan. Give up on holding the camera and add some black pepper. Get that mixed while pouring in 180 grams of melted unsalted butter, and it'll eventually start coming together like wet sand. This goes into a springform cake tin which I've greased and lined with baking paper. Then it gets flattened into a solid base before going into the fridge to firm up. Sure, brand new shiny tripod. Get it out of this plastic and yay! Immediately this looks a lot better than the cheap one I'm using now. Let's get you onto it and up and up. Look. Oh. Hands! Both of them. Look at all this wonderful vertical space. This show has just reached new heights, and you're goddamn right I just made that joke. Ooh, I know. There. That's a perfectly reasonable overhead shot with the multi-cooker. Happy man. Right, visually contrasting chopping board back into frame and back to the recipe. I'll get started with the filling while you enjoy the new overhead shot with a lovely view of my ring lamp's reflection. 600 grams of full fat cream cheese, and make sure it's full fat. Cheesecake doesn't work with light cheese. If you're trying to save on calories, don't make a f***ing cheesecake. 300 grams of sour cream, I like that shot. Zest and juice of a lime. Rolling it across a board will help to release the juices, but you got to be careful when you're doing this because overexposure to lime juice can cause knives to spontaneously vanish from time to time. But I think we're okay here. Oh, god damn it. Chili goes in. Then in with 4 whole eggs. Yes, I've seen the shell. There you go, it's gone. And 2 egg yolks for richness. Pour this over the base, and now this goes into a 150-degree oven for about 90 minutes or until its internal temperature is 150. Normally I'd bake this in a water bath, but since I'm going to be coating this one, I'm not too concerned about crap. 90 minutes later and it comes out. Check the temperature, perfect. See if it's got a cheesecake wobble. Yes, that's satisfying. Another one, there you go. Edges are a bit darker than I'd usually like because of that water bath, and obviously there's a massive hole where I just stabbed it with a thermometer, but other than that I'm pretty happy. Just run a knife around the edge of the tin to help it release, and it goes into the fridge to firm up. Morning after, this should just slide out. Now to paint over the cracks. Stir 300 ml of warm double cream into 300 grams of dark chocolate until the chocolate's melted. Purely because I can't leave anything well enough alone, I'm going to go in with a good tablespoon of Tabasco sauce. See how this tastes? Yeah, more. Pour it, spread it out, there you go, what cracks. Now this ganache is really rich, so just to freshen it out a bit, I'm going to marble in a bit of sour cream. So dollop, 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 and smooth all of that out just off camera. Back into the fridge to set, and there. What day are we on now? We've got chili, fridge, base, fridge, bake, fridge, ganache, fridge. It doesn't look particularly photogenic either. Mental note, need to work on my presentation skills. Let's see how it tastes. Yeah, you can definitely see the chili in there. Sent to the bottom though. Generous layer of ganache. Let's try this. Okay, wow, there is a lot to unpack there. That filling works. You can taste the chili, you can tell it's a cheesecake. It's not more one than the other, so as far as my brief for myself went, this has come out perfectly. Still room for improvement though, mainly with balancing the richness. You've got rich cream cheese, you've got rich ganache, the spice in the chili really isn't cutting through it enough. It needs something fresher, something more acidic to go with it. Those Doritos are really not working in there either. I guess since they're more or less exclusively eaten for their ability to shovel chili or some sort of dip into your face rather than their flavor. Has anyone ever said, hey, I know what'll make a good snack? Dry taco shells cut into triangles, especially if we can get rid of the crunch so they have no redeeming qualities whatsoever. They've got to go. Ganache is good. That Tabasco comes through right at the end. Still a bit too rich for this cake though. I think it'd make a good truffle. So final verdict, the filling works, the ganache works, but they don't work together. It's just rich on rich on rich. Maybe next time I'll replace the ganache with a layer of chocolate shards or something sour. Base is awful. I'd do away with that for a start. But there is something to this. Leave it with me and I can make it work. If for whatever bizarre reason you do decide to try this one, let me know in the comments what you think. Social links in the descriptions, and let me know what other foods you want to see get forked. If you liked this video, hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and until next time, get forked!